So writers, you have got an exciting job this month because you're going to be writing information books that are not just for you, but they're information books that you can put in your class library. The fourth grade teachers would love to add your books to our classroom libraries for the next year's fourth graders to read. That's pretty important, don't you think? Today, you're going to start a new information book, but there's going to be a big difference between the book that you write today and the book that you finished earlier this week. The difference is that in your second book, you're going to be way better than your first book, right? Because you already learned all the components and how to do it in your first book. You're going to do better in the second book. Last time, we learned about the questions that people ask and how we could answer those questions. Well, you can do that as you write this time. Looking back at our whole anchor chart of what we've been studying for the last few weeks is when we write an information book, we need to go back to step 1 because we're starting new books, right? So step 1, our little green sticky note right here, tells us we need to think of something we could teach. You could think about maybe, what do you do? Well, some things I do is I walk my dogs every day. Maverick, Marlo, and McCoy, they love going on walks. So I could write about that. Let's see. I clean my house. I don't do it as often as I probably should, but I could still write a book about that. So take some time to think about what are some things that you do. Maybe it's places that you go. Where are places you go? Well, I could write about going to the mall, or maybe the professional hockey games I go to. My sister and I go to at least one game a year, so that could be an interesting informational book to write about, is going to an actual professional hockey game. Think about the places where you go. Now, pause this video for a second, fourth graders, and jot down some ideas that maybe you have so far about things that you do or places that you go. Okay, so now that you're back with me, you should have some ideas written down about things that you do or places that you go. So now, writers, I have a tip for you. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's one that you'll always want to remember. Today, I want to teach you that it's really important to write and to revise with details. With information books, we can do this by writing with specific details. Writing with numbers, shapes, including sizes of things, quotes using exact things that people say, colors, and names. Okay, so let's try it. Let's say I'm writing a book about Chinese restaurants, and I'm going to add our little chart here so we can look at it down the bottom there. So we're writing a book about Chinese restaurants. I could say, at Chinese restaurants, for the appetizer, you get food. For the main course, you get food. For dessert, you get food. And you eat with utensils. Is that a good start to my book? What do you think? Do you think I should write with more detail and specifics, like my chart says? Of course you do. So let me try again. Let's say this time I write, so I'll keep the at Chinese restaurants part the same. So at Chinese restaurants for the appetizer, let's see. You can order wonton soup or crab rangoons. And I also want to use numbers, right? So I have my exact names by using wonton soup and crab rangoons, but I want to try to include some numbers. So I could maybe say, let's see, you can order 1 appetizer, or sometimes people even order 3 different appetizers. So did you see how in the second example, I wrote with specific names, like the wonton soup? Let me change my color here. We used wonton soup, we used crab ragoons, okay? And then I also used numbers. So you can do that with your writing as well. Because in numbers, I said you could order 1 appetizer, sometimes they order 3, right? And I only actually included the names and the numbers. So there were a lot of other things I didn't even talk about yet: shapes, sizes, quotes, colors, right? So if you think about my next few pages, what food could be specific for the main meal or for the dessert? What are the utensils that some people eat with at Chinese restaurants, right? That would be a specific name, like chopsticks. Okay. So remember, your new book is going to be so much better because it will include specific details, like these things listed on this page: numbers, shapes, sizes, quotes, colors, and exact names. As you go off and write today, be thinking about everything that we've learned so far. And don't forget about our anchor, right? All of these things are things that you need to be make sure that you're doing. Okay. So we have, sorry, I was trying to get this off here. We have thinking about something that you could write. So that you should maybe have done already. Touching the page and sketching your ideas like we did last week. Writing the page. Telling your book across pages. And then really, really focusing down here on this draft and revise part. Okay? You can do it. I'm excited to see your new work. Please remember, if you are working on stories, please make sure you're sharing them with your 4th grade teacher so we can give you feedback. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Have a great week and good luck on your writing.